Hello there, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and today I want to share with you a really lovely kit. This is the first kit that I've bought from My Favourite Things. It was shipped from Florida in the States to the UK within 5 days, which is pretty brilliant. And it's a gorgeous kit. I've got lots of snowflakes already, but this one really attracted me, and I want to show you what's in it. So it comes in a little bag, which is great if it's in the rain. My box was a little bit damp. It's been soggy here in the UK, but that's standard. There's a page that has got some inspiration on there. It tells you what's in the kit and it gives you some ideas as well. You get a set of stamps, you get a set of dies that will cut out and match how those stamps look. And then you also get a set of dies that will cut around the outside of the stamps. So you can have you can have it three ways. You can have it as a stamp, you can have it as a die cut, or you can have it stamped and die cut. The paper kit is lovely and there's lots of it. I'm going to have a little play with these. I'm going to see what I come up with and I'm going to share my results with you. For my first card, I've taken a grey backing card and a white piece of card cut slightly smaller than the grey base card, and I've gone around the outside edge of the white card with Versacolour Seafoam ink pad. I've cut another piece of white card slightly smaller than the blue edged card, and I've also got a piece of grey card that I've cut in a rectangle so it will fit underneath where I've cut the piece die out of the white card. I've got some double-sided adhesive and I'm going to glue this in place on the grey piece of card. Be careful when you take this off just to make sure you don't get air bubbles. And now I'm going to remove that piece of protective paper. I'm going to bring in my glitter. This is Ranger Distress glitter. It's clear. And I'm going to sprinkle it all over this grey card. What that will do is give me a piece of beautifully glittered card so that when I place that under the die cut out, the word saying peace, it will give me a lovely shimmer. If you burnish this with your finger and then tap off the excess, you won't have glitter falling all over the place if you're not a glitter lover. I'm going to attach my blue edged white card onto my grey base card using a tape runner. And next up I'm going to get the piece of grey card that has the glitter on the top, use my tape runner again, and I'm going to position that in the middle of the card. I know roughly that's where my die will show through. So I'm inking up two of the snowflakes with the same Versacolour ink pad, the Seafoam ink pad, and I'm using another ink pad called Cement, which is also Versacolour, and it's a beautiful soft grey. It's a warm grey, it's not a cold grey, and I'm using that to fill in the gaps left by my seafoam coloured snowflakes. I've applied adhesive to the back of that piece of card that has the word peace, and a piece of card that has peace cut out of it, and I've glued that directly onto my blue backed piece of card. I'm adding in the words that were split out, the P and the A, because they will help me position those tiny little pieces of the letter exactly in the right place, so that when I then take away the two additional white letters that I've just popped back in, the word will be positioned absolutely perfectly. I've cut 4 snowflakes from white card and I'm going to layer them up 2 at a time and pop them in the bottom left and the top right corner of my card. The next thing I'm going to do is take some Nouveau drops. These are jewel drops called Sea Breeze. And I'm going to dot them into the centre of my snowflakes, and I'm going to just randomly dot them around the rest of the card as well. I hope you can see the shimmer from the glitter under the word peace. For card 2 I'm using 3 pieces of paper from the kit, and I've used the white card to make a top folding card. I've taken a My Favourite Things stencil called Radiating Rays, and I'm going to fill the stencil in with Imagination Crafts Starlight's paint, and this one is Pearl. So I'm painting that on directly through the stencil. You can see I've masked it down with some bits of tape around the outside to make sure it doesn't move. And when that's complete and when it's dry, I'll lift the stencil away so you can see the effect. And I've taken the rays right to the edge of the piece of card. And when I peel the stencil away, you can see the beautiful effect that's left on my piece of card. I've got a Versacolour ink pad in Seashell, which is a very good match for one of the colours I'm going to use later, and I'm taking that around the outside of my card to create a pink border. I've cut out some snowflakes using the two different pinks that were in the card kit that I showed at the beginning of this card, and I'm layering 3 of those into position in the centre. I'm going to complete my card with Nouveau drops in Carnation Pink with a single dot in the centre. I was going to add a greeting to the bottom right of this card, but when I looked at that version I thought that was complete. I liked that design so much I repeated it with card 3, but this time I coloured the Radiant Rays with Nouveau Embellishment Mousse. In the inside I used Cosmic Brown, and then I faded it out to Indian Gold, and the dies are cut from a chocolate brown and gold glittered cardstock that I had in my stash. For card 4, I'm using all white card to begin with, and I've cut 3 layers in decreasing sizes, and I've added some snowflakes to a stamp block, and I'm going to use a really beautiful ink pad from My Favourite Things called Grout Grey. I'm stamping onto a piece of card so that they cover that card, and now I'm using clear embossing powder, and I'll tap that off and I'll heat set it. And that's given me a beautiful background, very subtle, in a lovely soft grey. For the layer below that, I'm going to go around the outside edge of that piece of card with a Copic Sketch alcohol marker, and the colour that I'm using is R39 Garnet. When I layer my snowflake design on top, it has a beautiful red border. I cut a My Favourite Things die called Joy from white card, and I'm going to colour that in the same colour of R39 Garnet as I did for my border. I've also cut one of the snowflakes from the kit, and I've coloured that in red as well. I've split the letters apart with scissors because I want to replace the O with the snowflake. Because some of the elements in the die cut are extremely thin, I'm using my Quickie glue pen to apply glue so that I can then stick them onto the card. And because it's just you and me, I'll confess that I kept losing the dot from the top of that J, and I had to cut that die about 3 times just to get that single dot, and I had to keep colouring it again. But with everything glued in place, I can assemble my final card. So I'm using my tape runner to apply my red bordered card onto my white base, and then I'm sticking my beautiful subtle top piece onto the bordered card. I wanted the glitter to be the star of this next card, so I've cut up decreasing sizes of cardstock, and my topmost layer I'm going to use the negative space from that, so I'm positioning the snowflakes so that when it's put on the glitter, that's what will show through as snowflake. I've taken a sentiment from My Favourite Things stamp called Bitty Bears, and it says Merry Christmas, and I'm going to ink that up with clear Versacolour ink, and I'm going to use white heat embossing to make that pop. To glue the topmost piece of card to the glittery card below, I'm just going to go over with very light dots of glue on the back of this card, going into all those little spaces so that none of those pieces will stick up and maybe get caught. The only dimension on this card is going to come from the sentiment. I've backed it with foam tape, and I'm going to glue that into position at the bottom of my card. Nice and simple. For card 6, I'm using one of the dies from a set called Stitched Scallop Basic Edge, which is very difficult to say, And I've used that to cut out a nice curve on my blue card, which will sit on top of the white card, which is the base card. I'm also using up some snowflakes that I've cut out already, so I have them in that beautiful teal and the wonderful silver, and I've also decided that I want to add some silver to the base of my blue curve, so I've cut out another piece and I've stuck it to the bottom of my blue card. This is a curly silver wire, I don't know how else to describe it, and I just found it in a craft shop randomly in Germany, so I can't put a link to where I got it because I have no idea, I don't even know what town I was in. And I'm using the wire to go around the top of the blue piece of card, and it's going to act as sort of netting, and then these snowflakes are going to dangle from that netting. I'm using a sort of invisible double-sided tape to glue those into position. And to finish off the card, I'm going to use a really beautiful ink pad which matches the teal of the snowflakes. It's called Turquoise and it's from Versacolor. My final card is so simplistic I nearly didn't show you, but in the end I thought I may as well. I'm using up some of the die cuts that I've cut out but I haven't used so far, and I've just added the word joy to the bottom. And it's a very simple little card, but it's nice and quick and easy, and it means that you're using up elements that you maybe haven't had space for on your other cards. So I'm going to say, as always, thank you very much for your time, for watching. I'm going to leave you with a close-up of all of the cards that we've made today, along with a little bit of music, and I'll see you next time.